In this video, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't just focus on your tools and products and the other elements that go into servicing the customer and actually going out there and creating a great experience for your customers. We're going to talk about the effort that you're putting in, the results that you're getting, the threshold that the customer meets at a certain point, and a few other things that can help you in different aspects of your business. So if you followed my other channel, the main one, Detail Groove, you'll know that I don't get too much into the weeds of tools and product and who's using what and why they're using what and comparing this tool to that tool, because to me, no matter what tool or product or equipment that I have, I'm going to get the job done to the best of my ability and get amazing results. So when I see and hear and watch people argue about in the comment section or on forums or on Facebook groups about like, hey, well, I'm using the Boss 15 and it's this and this is better than the LH or LR or whatever 15 from Rupes, or hey, I'm using the Aqua Pro Vac and you're using the Mighty Light 8070 and these are the differences and this one's bigger and the heater and all that. Like, to me, there's absolutely there's no value in spending time going through that conversation of which one is better or which one or why which one is better, because it's a very minute thing in your detailing business, meaning like you are so into the weeds, you're so into the tactical little details of your business that you're just talking about something that is almost irrelevant. Because if you give me a Harbor Freight like $80 polisher or whatever, and you go tell me to correct this paint and polish it out, guess what? I'm gonna correct the paint and polish it out using a $100 polisher. And again, it's you have to have the right tools and products and equipment and gear to get the job done. No doubt about that. There's no argument in that. The problem becomes when you're so full, like that's all you're focusing, where you're getting online, you're spending your valuable time and effort arguing and talking and debating, saying, well, no, this one is the better one. So here I want to talk to you about the tools and products, but in a different manner, in terms of trying to get you to see the bigger picture on why I wouldn't recommend you spend so much time and effort on the tools and products. Like when people ask me, hey, what's the best this, what's the best this, like, dude, like if you were to give me the crappiest of crap tools or products, I can guarantee you I'll get better results than you would, because you're too dependent on the tool and product, where I'm going to be dependent on the skills and experience that I have. So let's I gotta look at my notes here, because so this is going to be based off of overall with your business and such. Let's see if I don't butcher this too bad, because I quickly drew it on a little paper, and let's see if it makes sense when I actually alright, so okay, I get it, make fun of me, they're not straight lines, I do the best I can. So here we have the effort you're putting in, the results that you're getting, the customer experience, and the customer satisfaction. These aren't hard set rules, this isn't concrete, this is just based off of a quick little drawing that I made and just came up with the example real quick. So don't hold this so hard or anything, but just trying to get a point across. So these are the 4 things that'll go into like a detail, right? And this is like you servicing a customer. And circling back to the tools and products, is like everyone's like, oh, what's the tools and products, this and that, you're using this, or I use this brand, and I wax it in straight lines and not circular motions, and you're just so into the weeds of the actual like technical how-to skill set thing, which again isn't bad, but they're opening your mind to like, oh wait, that's right, there's so many other things I have to be doing aside from worrying what tools and products, what brands, trying something out. So here, let's say that on your forgot to draw one part. Okay, I added this little scale here. Again, I just threw some numbers up there. Don't pay too much attention. Just go with the general principle and flow of what I'm trying to say. So let's say on your effort part, right? This is you, the tools and products, the skill set, the technician, the detailer, the professional, and you're saying, you know what, like whatever. Don't get to whether it's paint correction, it's engine cleaning, it's an interior cleaning, it's a headlight restoration, it's whatever you're doing, right? You want to put in the maximum effort. I'll switch it up here. You want to put the maximum effort you can to get the best results, right? And that's fine. Let's say it's paint correction, let's say it's an interior deep cleaning, those are like heavy set services. Then let's say you want to put the effort, and usually you want to do what you can with the budget, and regardless of what that budget is, you want to fulfill it to the best you can. So you put in around 80% effort, right? And that will yield you pretty great results when you're putting 80% of your effort, because you're skilled, you're experienced, you have the right tools and products. So that'll get you far along with the results for the customer, right? So this might be saying, this is like, let's say, okay, we're getting to 70% removal of the swirls and scratches. This is saying, okay, we got 95% of the pit hair out. We got a lot of the stains out. The Indian cleaning is looking fabulous. It's looking spectacular. It was, it's 10 years old and now it's looking amazing. And this is where a lot of people get stuck on, just right here with the detail, where it's like, okay, well, I know that I can spend a little bit more time on the paint. I can probably get that 70 to 80. I could probably get that 80 to 90. I can probably get that 90 to 95. I could probably get that one other scratch out. So then the more effort, you're going to keep on putting more effort, right? But the problem with it, though, is that as you climb up the effort scale, the results do not follow. Like, it's not what's that word called? It's not there's not a direct correlation between the effort you're putting in and the amount of the increased results that you're getting. So even though, so from if you're putting in 60% effort right here, then the results, there's a direct correlation because it's dirty. Like any cleaning that you do to the vehicle, it's gonna make it look a lot better, right? So you put in some effort, you're getting a lot of results. But the higher you climb on this effort scale, the results that you're getting for the customer is just, it's not making that much bigger of a difference. So when people are saying like, are stuck on like, oh, you could have done an extra pass, oh, you could have done, you could have whatever, you could have, sanded down that one little section of that panel to get those results, and you could have, removed something in the engine bay to get under it to make sure you got all the dirt out. When you're talking about those details, and you're putting in so much more effort, you're only semi-increasing the results that you're getting for the customer. And the thing you have to realize, though, is that yes, you can say, oh, well, it's for me, like, I know it's there. Okay, I mean, that's not yes, that's true, but if you're not getting properly paid and compensated for all that work that you're doing, and the customer themselves don't really care or don't really mind if you do that or not, and you're just giving away free time for your self-benefit of accomplishing what you want to accomplish, then you're just wasting time. Because the other part is that at some point, for the customer and the results, there's gonna be a threshold that they're gonna meet. What that threshold is, I don't know. It depends on the customer, the detail that you gave them, what they're expecting from you. So you're going, let's say, and this is all just made up example. There's no I'm just making up things here to hopefully get that point across. Where you might have a customer that you're putting in 100%. Like, you're trying to go after all those swirls and scratches, and you're trying to you're sending sections down, and you're spending 10, 12, 14 hours, and you're going over your budget. Well, let's say the results, in your eyes, they've actually gone up, right? Like, they're like, wow, like, look, I've really tackled all those hard little scratches that weren't coming out with just polishing. But then let's go to the customer's threshold, meaning like what they actually gain, and their threshold might actually just be right here. Meaning, no matter what you do after this point, they're going to look at their vehicle and they're simply going to be like, oh wow, it looks great, thanks for doing that. It didn't matter if you took out that extra scratch, if you sanded it down, if you remove the seat to get under the rail. It doesn't matter if you polished, scrub the back of the tire when you're cleaning the tires. It didn't matter if you cleaned the inside of the barrel. None of that matters at this point, because the threshold for that customer on what they wanted and what they were expecting you to do was down here. Now, again, this is why it's important to really know what the customer wants and make sure you're following and all the details are agreed upon in terms of what you're gonna do. Because if you're saying that the customer wants a wash and a wax, right, something super simple, but then you're like, oh man, there's scratches in there though, I have to take them out. Like, they're not going to want scratches in their paint, right? That wouldn't be good. So instead of just applying a wax, you're like, let me do a one-step polish real quick. And you do all this extra work, but their threshold was down here, like, hey, I just wanted to shine your car. Like, I didn't even know there were scratches in there. So now you did all this extra work, made a lot less money. The customer's threshold was all the way down here. So you could almost essentially wash it and hit it with a spray wax, and they'd be like, oh my god, it looks so great. But because you got into that mindset of like, I have to do more, you had to raise the results because you couldn't really didn't want to see those scratches, or assume the customer didn't want to see those scratches, but the threshold is actually down here, and they actually wouldn't have cared or don't care for those. They might appreciate it if you explain and then show them exactly what you're referring to, but this is just like, oh, that's cool, like, appreciate it, thank you, like, that's cool. But no matter what else you would have done, their threshold was down here. Hopefully that made sense, because I just kind of quickly thought about this graph that I could try to show to make it more visual. So next, this is still around. I mean, this is kind of covering a lot of elements of your business, right? But again, this is going back to the tools and products of like, you're too into the weeds of thinking, hey, like, I use this. This is what I use for that. Like this, no, like there's a lot more that goes into it. So let's go to the next one of your customer experience. So customer experience kind of embodies the entire experience of the detail, where it's like, it's not just the results, right? It's not just the effort that you're using, it's not just the results that you're getting for the customer, but then it's also things like, well, how did you communicate with that customer? Did you pick up the call? Did you return the call? Did you text them? Did you remind them? Did you show up late? Did you have are you have good manners? Are you well presentable? Are you condescending when you talk to them? Are you confident and professional? All those things, are they wondering, where'd you go? Like, why did you leave the stuff out there? Did you move things around in the garage? Did you whatever? This is all the customer experience from start to finish, right? So here is, let's just say you're average, right? I don't even know what average is because this is all made up. So let's just say you're just an average. Let's use blue. And trust me, like, I've talked with detailers that like explain to me what they do, and I'm just like, I wouldn't do that. And it's just kind of weird that, odd that people are still like kind of ignore this whole part here of like, oh yeah, they just want the details, right? Like that's the main thing I'm concerned about is me going out there and cleaning the service. But there's so many other things that you have to think about to make sure that they're having an overall great experience. This is like when you go to a restaurant and you're saying, man, that food was delicious, right? The food was delicious, it was great, but man, like, they took 40 minutes to seat us down. When they sat us down, they took 10 minutes and 15 minutes to bring us out the bread. The waiter only came by 2-3 times. So, man, it was great. The food was great and everything. And it was really, whatever it was good. But, man, the experience was just not good at all. So then we jump over to satisfaction, which is kind of like the overall point system for this. And overall, right, let's say like at the restaurant, you like the food, it was great. The customer experience sucks because we waited and the waiter or waitress didn't come around a lot, and our drinks were always low and it took forever to bring up the bill. So, food was good, but everything else, the experience part of this, I would not want to go there again. So you're spending all this time and effort. Now we're going back to the detailing business. You're spending all your time and effort on here, like the results, the effort, the tools and products. Oh my God, what am I using? I need to upgrade. I need to test something. I need to do this. I need to do that. What are you using? How do you use it? How much is it? I need to save for it. But then you're neglecting this part here, the overall picture, the big picture from start to finish. And then at the end of it, the customer's like, oh, well, he did great, but, like he was late or he didn't, took forever for him to get back to me, or, that he said it was going to take, 4 hours, it took 7 hours, or what have you. Whatever the case may be. Again, this is all a completely made up example. You can go with this any other way that you want. But the point that I'm getting though is that if you're too caught up in here, you're going to forget the overall big picture of the customer. And the great thing is that, let's say, have you ever gone to a place where it's like the food maybe, it wasn't bad, that'd be terrible, but let's say it was, it was just average food, it was just average, but then the waiters and waitresses were just on it the entire time, and everyone greeted you when you were there, and they're playing your favorite, your sports channels on the TVs, and they had a great selection of whatever, and you're like, you know what, it wasn't all that great, the food was alright, it wasn't anything to be, whatever, but man, the experience was so good. So I would definitely go there again, because I just like being there, because they took care of me so well. So grand scheme of things is that, yes, tools and products are important, but you don't want to get too into the weeds and completely focus just on saying, oh, okay, well, does that one have a certain PSI? Does that one have a certain rotation? Does that one have, what's the weight difference between those two? Because you have so much more to handle with the customer experience. And again, this is the important part here that I think is that you can put more effort into your service to get better results in your eyes, and you will get better results in your eyes. But there's an actual threshold for the customer that they will meet, that no matter what you do after that threshold, no matter what extra steps, no matter how long, they've already met that point where it's like, okay, look, that's good, like I'm happy already. Whatever you're doing, whether you did it or you didn't, adds such a small, insignificant amount of value to the detail. I'm still gonna pay you, I'm still gonna tip you, but doing all this extra jazz is not doing much. So this is also the huge important part you have to understand with your customers about going that extra mile. Because be completely honest, if you're getting paid, I'm making up all these numbers just as an example, if you're getting paid $500 for a paint correction, right, and you can finish it in 6 hours, right, but then you can, or whatever, however long, but then you can go and do the extra scratches and do the extra, whatever, like sand something out or polish something out, that's gonna take a lot of time on like a rear quarter panel or something because they got hit by a cart or something. Would you still, even at 6 hour mark, without doing the extra work, you're here and they're completely happy and ecstatic, right? Would you spend an extra 2, 3, 4 hours to go after those bad areas, even though in your eyes you'll get better results, but to the customer it's not going to do much? Like they don't care one way or another if it was there. Again, made up example, just as an example. But you have to think about, like, would you really do that though? Like, a lot of you are going to be like, well, yes, because it's, I love what I'm doing. But just overall, like, would you really, if you knew that there's a threshold there? And I'm not saying cut the customer short or don't go the extra mile. That's not what I'm saying. You can always go the extra mile. You can, assuming you know what you're doing and you're still hitting the numbers right and you don't do it every single time. But it's not saying that. You can still go the extra mile to like right here, right? But some of you guys are taking it way too far out and spending that extra 2, 3, 4 hours going after all those, putting in more effort to get those results where, you can even say, okay, this is our threshold of the customer and them liking the service, and after you go this more, there's not much that you're adding to them in terms of value. And you can go the extra mile, and that could be right here, right? You can do the extra mile right here. And that's you going the extra distance on whatever other areas you want to do. But then you guys are still climbing up this results bar, trying to get more and more and more because you know you can. So hopefully this video helped. Let me know if you have if you're confused about any part, because again, like I literally just sat down at my desk and I was like, how can I show this, or what can I, how can I kind of show this visually? So there's probably some flaws, I'm sure, but I just try to show it to you in a very visual manner. So let me know in the comment section down below if you have any comments, questions, concerns, feedback about this graph chart thing that I did, and I'll see you on the next one.